All right. Well, beautiful. Okay, so we've got all this creative energy. So just thinking about these things that we create in our lives is just, I don't know, for me, it's energizing. And seeing what other people create is energizing. It's something that is about giving life to ideas, which is just magic, right? We are living and creating whatever it is that we think, which is just a phenomenal thing to wrap our heads around, right? And what I want to do today is I want to not just sell, to you how valuable creativity is, but I want to play a little bit with a few writing exercises, but you can parlay these into whatever your chosen medium is. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we can leverage our creativity to become more resilient. And then we'll do a little bit of meditation at the end. But before we get into all of that, I would like to read a quote to you. So this is my favorite quote. And I actually shared this quote at a conference not long ago. It's by Martha Graham, a great dancer, choreographer. And Martha said, "There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost." What does that say to us? That says to us that what you create individually is created in a way that no other person on this planet can create it. Yeah, it's your essence. Beautifully said. Yes, yes. And so this is a call to action, not a pressure. Not anything to stress about, not anything to fulfill on. It's not a goal. It's literally your most unique, authentic expression is what the world wants. We don't need to wait for permission. We don't need to wait till we're good enough. What we're here to do is explore and share. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to explore our own selves for just a moment. So the reason we're going to write is because I want you to think about yourself as this creative, resilient being. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just take a pen and paper if you can. I know that's really old fashioned of me, but I'm getting on in the years and I'm partial to the pen and paper. And there's also some science around the fact that if we write things out, handwrite, our brains are processing the information in a slightly different way. So if you don't handwrite in general and you think you can read your handwriting later, you might want to play with it a little bit. You might find that what comes out might be a little different than what would come out if you were to type. Okay, so what I want you to write about, and this is very simple, but I'd like you to think about your past. And I explored this topic a little bit in my own website and in my own writing recently. But I want you to think about your past, and I want you to think about the word threshold. Okay? So a threshold is a space, a door, an entryway. It's a particular place that we must move through. And we are one way before we move through this threshold and we find something else on the other side. So when you think about the word threshold, really ultimately what we're thinking about is transformation. Okay, so I want you to just take a moment. And actually, I think what we'll do is just a really, really brief sort of centering meditation here so that you can just kind of get into a really receptive place for this. So go ahead and set down your pen and paper here for a moment. I just feel called to get us a little grounded first. What we're going to do is just settle our hands on our knees or our thighs and close our eyes. You can be seated in whatever way makes sense for you. We're just going to take a few breaths together. And as you breathe here, just allow any busyness in your mind to just be there. Let it buzz around. Just start to watch it. And as you breathe, allow that busyness to just gently begin to dissipate like clouds moving in the sky. Allowing the breath to get just a little bit deeper, allowing the belly to expand with the inhale and release with the exhale. And as you breathe here, just allow yourself to feel a little bit more clarity. So it's like this breath is coming in and just allowing you to clear out all the clutter, make space for whatever creative ideas, whatever realizations need to come in, to come in. Few more deep breaths. Allowing that breath again to just wash through the body. With the exhale, you're just releasing, creating space. And as we all know, when we create space, it will fill. Allow yourself to clear. Just begin to notice how your body feels today. Soften through the shoulders. Sink down into the ground as you sit up tall, feeling, and I'll borrow your word, your own essence. Feeling that creative essence fill you up. And like a light, here in a meditative state, I want to return to the prompt that I gave you, this idea of thresholds. And I want to ask you, what time or what point in your life did you pass through a threshold? Did you undergo some kind of drastic or just memorable change? Just sit with this question. Thinking back, it can go back as far as a day, a week, a year, all the way to young childhood, anywhere along the timeline of your life. And whatever came up first, gently blink your eyes open. And now we'll grab our pen and our notebook. And what I'd like you to do is just start to write, and hopefully something came up for you in that grounding meditation and that clearing meditation. But if not, just give yourself a couple minutes to free write and see if anything comes up for you. When have you crossed the threshold in your life? And we're going to write together for just about 3.5 minutes, and then I'm going to check in with you. Okay. Any questions you can put in the chat, and I think I can. I don't know if I could type in here or not. Yes, I can. Okay. All right, so just about a minute left. So as you're starting to wrap up here, and I'd love for, I know this is a vulnerable thing to do with writing, especially when we're writing about our own personal experiences. But if anyone would like to share how that went or what came up for you, please do in the chat. For those of you who maybe joined a little bit later, I want to repeat this quote. And also for those of you who've been here, I want to repeat this quote, and I will repeat it again at the end of this session. This is Martha Graham. There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and will be lost. Okay, so what feeds our creativity? Our individuality, yes. That quote speaks to that. Our experiences, the things that we've lived through, the changes we've undergone, the things that we have awakened to and realized along the way. Our ability to identify where our blind spots are in our existence and our relationships and move past those and expand. You know, the more that we live and the more that we experience things, the more that we just expand that essence. You know, so this creative journey around thinking about thresholds and thinking about our own experience in the past, it's possible that for some of you, something maybe a little tender came up. For others, it may have been a really beautiful memory, like a graduation or a wedding or childbirth. For some of us, it may have been surviving something, right? Especially when we're thinking about transitions that came after, survival or illness or something that was difficult. But whether it was a positive memory or something that was challenging for you, these things that kind of surface for us when we just have something as simple as a prompt, like tell me about what comes up for you with thresholds, come up for us because there's something there that is contributing to the way that we see the world. Okay. And we can expand the way that we see the world. We can change the way that we see the world. And this is why creativity helps us to be so resilient, because when we share what it is that is churning in our body on the page or express it in painting or whatever it is, our experiences, it's almost like they get to exhale, they get to come out, and we get to see things in a slightly different way. So the way that we express ourselves is our constant, in my estimation, our constant sort of evolution, our energetic evolution, right? It's a really beautiful process. So Daisy's sharing something came forth surrounding a past trauma that I don't even consciously know. Yeah. Storing everything in our bodies. And we work with this a lot with Qigong and energy practices and movement practices, but we can work with this with creative expression as well. And we don't have to be, trying to become full-time artists. We can, that's beautiful, but we don't have to have these grand ambitions. What we need to do, and what Martha's call of action from you is to do, is to share as authentically and as humanly as possible. Tell your story because no one else can do that. If you're just trying to sound smart, you can use, technology to tell your story for you. But what the world needs and what the world is going to grow from is your authentic story. When I read something that I can kind of feel like I'm connecting, whether it's fiction, creative nonfiction, poetry, or when I see a piece of art, or even when I taste food, and I can just feel the love that went in to that food, right? I can feel the expression that went into this piece of art, the longing, the questions. It's a human connection. It's a gift to me. So every time you create, you're giving to me. Okay, so let me see what else folks said here, and then I'll share a little bit. Oh, that is beautiful. Threshold blocked, locked out, shut up, locked away, behind closed doors. Secrets and mystery. Can't talk about it. Oh, so much pain inside. If only I could reach the basement on my archway. Make my way into the lit corridor beyond pain. Wow, that was beautiful, Caitlin. Thank you for sharing that. Wow, that was really beautiful. And thank you, Daisy. I'm very eye-opening. Yes. Basically, yeah. No accounting for typos. We got you. So this is wow, that's just it's amazing to me what people could create. And I literally gave you a couple minutes. Like it's just amazing to me what can come out and what can surface when we just give ourselves a little bit of creative time, a little bit of time for expression. There's so much of life where we're told you need to show up this way and act like this and follow these 4 rules for how to communicate with others and how to win friends and influence people or whatever it is, right? I mean, nothing against some of that. It's very helpful. But I do think that there's room for the messiness of creativity that we need to explore in order to help us to become full-fledged humans and connect with other humans in the beautiful way we're meant to reach the sense of awe that art can offer us, or that anything that is imbued with deep and conscious creativity can. The concept of flow, yes, Amelie, yes, freedom, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, and so I wrote a little bit about flow recently too, and there's something really interesting. I don't know. I wasn't really planning on going down this trajectory, but again, I'm just kind of, we're just chatting here. I'll get to the research in a moment, but first let's get into some mysticism because, why not? I was just exploring a lot of the artists and writers who did practices that were a little bit more spiritual or seeking or kind of connecting to something bigger than themselves, whether that is Carl Jung's collective unconscious, right? Or whether that is framed as channeling, those who came before, or whether that is framed as, automatic writing, connecting with spirits or connecting with like gods or goddesses. There's so many different ways that this shows up around the world. Oh gosh, I wish I could remember how to say his name correctly, but I think it's Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the man who wrote about flow. That book is speaking about the exact same phenomenon too from a scientific perspective. There are so many different ways you can look at it, no matter your belief system. When you get to this place where you're creating from something that feels bigger than your normal average everyday experience of life, like bigger than what it feels like to go buy an onion at the grocery store, that feeling, there's nothing like it. And what comes out during these sessions is something that is usually very revelatory to us and the way that we see the world. And sometimes, at least for me, and this is where I'll finally get to the resiliency part, it gets you to, again, start to see a bigger perspective. So, I may have shared this with some of you in other contexts, but I love this study. And for those of you who need a little research fix, this is very interesting. So, there was a longitudinal study out of Kauai, Hawaii. It's been replicated all around the world since, and this is something that I share in my leadership classes too. And the study followed folks who were born in poverty, to abusive families, had adverse circumstances, and then went on and followed these people all the way up into their 40s and looked at how certain people were incredibly resilient and others seemed to kind of repeat patterns that were a little bit more self-destructive or just kind of shut down and didn't feel like they had a really good quality of life. So what was it about those people that were able to come from that and in some way thrive despite all odds, despite other people having it easier, despite whatever? And actually, the study even identified that the folks who were able to find that quality of life, in 30% of the cases, their quality of life was actually higher sometimes than people who had not had these adverse circumstances. So why is that? Where do they find that strength? And what the research boiled it down to was these common characteristics between these people were things like an ability to create a vision. So again, this can look a lot of different ways, but they could have an experience today and know that tomorrow their experience didn't have to look like it does today. So they not only had maybe been through thresholds themselves, but they could see something in the future that would take them into another version of this reality. They would have some kind of role model, but before you say, well, I never had a mentor, or I don't know that I really had that, it could be that person that was really, really close to you. But here's what I love about this research. It's not in the findings. It's not necessary. You could find a historical figure or someone who is in the limelight that you admire, or just remember a teacher from second grade or something like that, or connect with a teacher here on Insight Timer or another person here on Insight Timer that you meditate with. And you see that person and there's something to admire there. That fits the bill. That's what you need. All you need is to see a different representation. So if you're going through something painful right now, let's say you're going through a separation, and you see that there is this other person that you're very connected with or peripherally connected with, and they have this loving, beautiful relationship. Yeah. Just seeing that and having that as a model and recognizing it as such, it helps you to build resiliency and move forward. And then bringing this all back home, creative problem solving and the ability to be able to tap that inner creativity in order to make the right decisions for you, listen to yourself, practice reflection, those kinds of things. So it's all very beautiful. And it's all very related. So when we think about our thresholds and the things that we've been through, and we think about the way that just our creative expression is needed in the world, my hope for you is that this is a little bit of a fire under you to just help to boost you to create just a little more in your life. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of homework, a little bit of perspective building homework, I guess. And then we'll do a little meditation, and then I'll give you a writing assignment that you can kind of do offline. So what I'd like you to do is take the rest of today, and I realize we're all in different time zones, but I want you to take the rest of the day and maybe tomorrow, if you don't feel like you have a lot of time, just to, like a child or like a person in a completely foreign and new environment, just look at everything that you see in your day as though it was brand new. See if you can find something new about your own reality, just a new way to see. Okay. So this is something that I want you to experiment with. And we're going to do, again, just another little sort of end capped meditation right now. And then I'll give you a little bit more homework. All right. So go ahead and sit tall again and close your eyes. And what I'd like you to do is just notice. Notice if you feel a little bit more of an impetus to create. If I'm doing my job, there's probably at least one of you out there that's like, I need to get off this call so I can go write or do art or cook this beautiful meal or whatever it is. But if you'll sit with me for a few more minutes, I'd like you to just sit in this feeling. Sit in this sense that there is a call to action for you to create what you're meant to create, and that you don't have to understand or overdefine or set goals around it right now. All you have to do is you. As you sit here and breathe, just feel how that manifests throughout your body. So drop down out of that thinking mind and into the body and feel that creative energy moving, swirling around like the most vivid painting. Breath be deep and soft. And sit with this visualization that this creative energy is just expanding in the body. We cleared ourselves out before, and now we're filling ourselves up. Being receptive to what is meant to come through you and to you. Breathe a little deeper as though you can take in just a little bit more of this energy. Feel the joy of this energy. Feel the release, the freedom. Maybe even allowing yourself a childlike smile. Sense of levity and lightness. And a sense of total radical self-trust. That whatever comes through is perfect. And that this expression is serving you and helping you to become more you, more resilient. Better able to do whatever it is you want to do in the world. We'll take a nice deep, deep breath in through the nose, fill the belly, let it get big, big, big. And exhale through the mouth. Blink the eyes open. Beautiful job. All right, I'd love to know how folks are doing, how you're feeling. I'm going to give you that homework, a little writing exercise. So we talked about thresholds, and what I would like you to do Now, if you want to write more, and you can interpret this in whatever way you want, to be honest, or just think about it and see if it comes up in some creative way over the next couple of days. But as you are investigating your world, the world you feel like you know so well with new eyes, as you're looking for newness all around you, I want you to be open to new beginnings. So again, thinking about these thresholds, right? What's ahead of you? And I want you to write a little bit about beginnings. So the writing prompt is to write about fresh starts and what that means for you. And as we explore this, it can come out in a poem. It can come out in just a journal. And it might lend itself to a piece of artwork or something else, a piece of music. You know, in some cases, it can even lend itself to something very practical, like a new friendship or a new way of communicating with someone that you may have a little block with. We can think about beginnings in so many different ways. So use that creative energy, that beautiful creative energy, to just be a little bit more open.